welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on something that I get a lot of questions on, and that is how to contour and highlight when you have acne or textured skin on your cheeks. A lot of people ask me how I keep my makeup looking so smooth and how I contour and highlight while having scarring and large pores and everything like that. Because obviously if you're insecure about anything with your skin, the last thing you want to do is draw even more attention to your insecurity. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys today. I'm going to be walking you through my entire cheek product routine. If you know me, you know that I like to do very thorough reviews and tutorials and everything like that. So this video isn't just going to be like, this is where I place my contour and how I blend it out. This is going to be a lot more in-depth, and I share a lot of tips and tricks and even some of my favorite products to make my face makeup look flawless and sculpted without drawing any more attention to my acne scarring. Couple really quick things before we get started. All of the products I'm using will be linked in the description bar as always, and if you do find this video helpful, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It seriously helps me out. And if this is the first video of mine you are seeing, don't forget to hit subscribe down below too. So whether you have active breakouts, scarring, large pores, just rough texture in general, and you want to learn how to highlight and contour in a way that is flattering for your skin, then just go ahead and keep on watching. Alright, so I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret, and that is that when you have imperfections on your skin, the most important part of your highlighting and contouring routine is not actually the highlighting and contouring. The most important part is everything you do to your face before you go in and start contouring. Because honestly, your base, aka your primer, foundation, and your powder is what's really going to determine the outcome of your entire look, and it's what's going to make or break your makeup when you go to apply those products on your cheeks. So I'm just gonna quickly touch on these three things. So first of all, primer. I'm sure it's pretty much common sense to most of you, but a smoothing primer is definitely going to help. Now there's only so much a smoothing primer can do, but it will just help to slightly minimize the look of any texture on your skin and give you a more smooth surface to work with. Now I mentioned before, my favorite of all time is the Benefit Professional Primer. That's what personally works the best for me. Recently I have been using the Maybelline Blur and Smooth Primer. This one is a really good option too, especially if you want something more affordable. But there are definitely a ton of different options out there when it comes to complexion smoothing and pore filling primers. So next of course is foundation. Now if you have any kind of redness on your skin at all, whether that is active acne or hyperpigmentation like I have, rosacea, anything like that, I really recommend going for a really solid full coverage foundation. The reason for this is because if you don't have full coverage on and you have scarring or redness or anything showing through, when you go to apply your other products, it can make it look a little bit blotchy, especially when it comes to your blush. I personally like to go for something that I can just do in one even layer and it gives me immediate full flawless coverage. I don't like to go in and spot conceal afterwards. What you have been seeing me apply currently is the Kat Von D Tattoo Lock-It Foundation. I absolutely love this stuff. I also really like the Becca Ultimate Coverage Complexion Cream, and the Tarte Amazonian Clay are just a few of my favorites. One really good option too, if you have more severe scarring and texture than I do, is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Maximum Cover. This is amazing for filling in pitting and scarring like that. It is a very thick and heavy duty product. It's not something that I feel I need personally, but like I said, it is amazing if you have more severe uneven texture. And of course, next we have to set everything in place with powder. Powder is extremely important, but powder is going to lock your foundation in place and keep it from moving when you start blending out your contour and everything like that, which is also extremely important. It's going to ensure that as you blend products out, none of your scarring or acne or anything is showing through. There's a ton of different options out there for powder. I've really been liking the RCMA No Color Powder recently, so I've really been enjoying this. It doesn't alter my foundation at all, and it just really does a good job at locking everything in place. I just really lightly pat this over my skin. Once again, you don't want to be disrupting any of the coverage you just placed down, so I just tap this all over my skin, and I really make a point to bring it out to all the outer edges of my face. When I'm in a hurry, it's really easy for me to kind of forget to do those areas, and I just kind of quickly dust it over the center of my face. But this is where we're going to be applying product today, so it's really important that you set everywhere you put foundation. In case any of you guys missed it, I do have another video on my channel called How to Fake Flawless Skin that goes into all of this kind of section of things a lot more in depth, and I share a lot more tips and tricks on concealing scarring and breakouts and stuff like that. So definitely go check that out. It'll be linked in the description bar in case you missed it. So if you follow all of these steps, you should be set up for success, and you should have a really good solid foundation in place to start applying all of your other cheek products and everything on top of. So when you have scarring and acne or fine lines or anything like that, something that everyone is always going to tell you is only use matte products. You can't use any other texture. Keep everything matte, no shimmer, no sheen, nothing. And the reason for this is because any kind of sheen or shimmer or anything like that, the light reflects off of it and it draws more attention to that area. So in turn, it can draw more attention to texture. And when it comes to bronzer and contour However, I do say go matte, especially for contour. That is going to give you the most natural results because contouring is all about creating shadows, and shadows don't have any kind of shimmer or anything like that. But I don't know about you guys, but I love makeup and I hate the idea of limiting myself to only matte textures ever. Like, I don't know about you, but I find that extremely boring. I like looking radiant and glowy even though I do have imperfect skin. So I am here to tell you guys that you do not need to only wear matte products. It's just all about being selective about the formulas you use and choosing the products that are best suited to your personal skin. And like I said, I do recommend more matte finishes for bronzing and contouring, so I'm speaking more about blush and highlight at this point. So it's all about choosing high quality products. Now that doesn't necessarily mean expensive products. You can definitely find really good options at the drugstore and from more affordable brands. It's more so about finding powder products that are really finely milled, and when you touch them they feel super smooth and buttery. The Becca Shimmering Skin Perfectors are a perfect example of this. They're not gritty or chunky at all. They just blend really nicely and they feel really soft to the touch. That's kind of the textures I would recommend going for. So seek out the products that feel like really smooth to the touch. They don't feel hard, they don't feel gritty at all, and you can easily pick up a good amount of pigment. Those are going to be the best products for you. I'll talk more about some of my favorite products as we kind of go through the steps, but for now we are going to start bronzing. Yes, we're finally going to start actually applying product to my face. So I find the ideal order for applying my face products goes bronzer, contour, blush, and then highlight. Obviously, do whatever works for you and whatever you're most comfortable with. For me personally, I think it just makes the most sense to start with what covers the most area to what covers the least. So obviously bronzing is going over more of our face than our highlighter, so I kind of like work my way up to the smallest areas. So I zoomed you guys in so you can get a better view of what I'm actually doing. I don't know why my ears are so red, just ignore that. But today I'm going to be bronzing with the Marc Jacobs Omega Bronzer. Bronzer is not something I'm picky with. Like I said, matte's going to be a best bet, but really anything you have will work. So I like to take a kind of like fluffier round top powder brush. So I always bronze up just a little bit, at least on the edges of my face, regardless of whether I'm actually trying to look like I have a tan or not, because it just adds more definition. And then when I go to apply my contour, I find it just blends out better. So I'm just going to start by tapping my brush into the product and just kind of slowly working. I start on my cheeks here, and as you can see, I'm blending it down in the area I would contour because, like I just said, this is just going to help everything blend out better. And if you've followed all of the initial steps of primer, foundation, and finding a really good setting powder, even as you go and start buffing in the product, you should not see any of that foundation or anything moving off of your scarring or pigmentation or acne or whatever it is that you're dealing with. You always want to use really light pressure, of course, and not like go in too crazy. So I just use kind of like light circular buffing motions, and I'm doing this along my temples too. You kind of go along my jaw and bring it back down my neck a little bit, and also behind my ears for a really seamless kind of look. You don't want it to just like stop here and have like bronze line and then just like white again. And I also just do the top of my forehead a little bit. The main thing is you just want everything to be cohesive. You don't just want to have bronzer here and then have like a white forehead. Then I'm just going to repeat that on the other side of my face. I will just do a little bit on my nose and my chin as well. So as I'm sure you can already see, that has already added more life and dimension to my face. So one thing that I always do between each step is I go back in with my powder brush with no additional product on it, and I just go in and kind of blend out the edges, because even if it looks fine to you now, you really don't want to like step out into natural light and see that you have like a big like block of product that isn't blended. So for bronzer, I blend from the center of my face outwards to the areas that I have bronzed, just to eliminate any harshness. Now I'm moving into the actual contouring. My favorite contouring powder is from the original Anastasia contour kit, and it is this shade here, which is called Fawn. Now your contour powder is going to be determined on your skin tone and everything like that. If you're having issues finding a suitable contour powder though, what I would recommend doing, and this sounds weird, but go look at the Makeup Forever Artist shadows. They have a lot of really nice matte kind of like taupey shades like this, and they work really nice for contouring. I actually have like a little contour trio that I made from them, and they work extremely well. I know you might think that's weird because they're eyeshadows, but makeup is makeup, it's just powder. But I like to go in with my Real Techniques contour brush. This is my favorite. It's like a really precise domed brush. and just pick up a tiny little bit of product. I primarily just contour my cheekbones. I do a little bit on the other areas of my face, like I said, once again, just to make everything cohesive. But I start with my cheekbones. Now I have kind of like a natural line here where it kind of accentuates the hollow of my cheek. It's even more intense now because I've already bronzed, but I do have that naturally, which is a really good guideline. But typically is a good guideline for where to start your contour. You want to line it up with the top of your ear here and bring it down towards the corner of your mouth. And I personally never like to bring my contour in further really than the outer corner of my eye. If you bring it in further here, it just becomes very apparent and very like, this is makeup, this isn't natural, which I'm not necessarily going for a natural look, but you know what I mean. So I get a little bit of product on there and I just start here. You can like suck in your cheeks, like, if that helps. I don't really find I need to do that. I just start really lightly placing that line. It looks like I'm going like really downwards, but hopefully you can tell that it's not actually. So I just start placing that there and I blend upwards. You want to use this kind of directional blending. If you just go in and say like buff it out like you would with your bronzer, it's going to end up looking very muddy. You want this to be very precise and you want to be very careful where you're placing it. I also get in around my kind of temple area here and kind of blend downwards into the contour. So I've mentioned this before, but there is one thing that I really like to do when I contour, and this is something specifically tailored to my face shape. As you can see, when I smile, I have a lot of like fullness and roundness right in here, and I get this kind of like definition around the apples of my cheeks. So what I like to do is I don't get any additional product on my brush, and I just really lightly kind of curve the end of my contour right in here. Sorry, it's weird. I'm trying to keep this face and talk at the same time. But I just curve it ever so slightly in here. Once again, this is only for my specific face shape. If you don't have a similar facial structure to me, I wouldn't recommend doing this. But for me, this is just a lot more natural than cutting it off like right here and just having that one line. This just, like when I smile, it just gives my face even more definition. And that's just something I've learned to do through my own experimentation. Like I said, it's not going to be flattering on everyone. So then I do like to take a little bit more product and just kind of take it up around the edges of my face on my forehead. Just a little bit. I do a little bit right in here as well. I'll do a tiny bit on the sides of my nose sometimes. Honestly, sometimes I forget to do this. Also do my chin just down here, just really lightly, once again, not getting any more additional product. So that is what my contour looks like. I'm going to go ahead and repeat all of these steps on the other side of my face. So I'm going to speed this part up. Oh, and I forgot I also like to do just a little bit under my bottom lip. And so then when that is done, I'm once again going in with my powder brush and just blending out the edges. Alright, so now it is time for blush, which you guys know is my personal favorite step. So going back to what I was saying earlier, satiny textures with just like a nice soft sheen are going to be your best friend, especially if you are more new to this and you are really afraid of accentuating texture. Go for products that just have a nice sheen, no shimmer, no glitter, nothing like that. One of my favorite products for this, and I think the perfect example, is the Clinique Cheek Pop Color Blushes. But these honestly have the perfect texture if you're worried about accentuating anything on your skin, but they still give a little bit of a healthy glow to your face. I also really love the Too Faced Love Flush blushes, so that's probably what I'm going to use today. And then a drugstore option is these L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Blushes. These are really nice as well. Like, these are my favorite blushes from the drugstore, and they also just have that really nice, smooth, buttery kind of texture. This one has like a really mild shimmer to it, but this is beautiful. It's in the shade Barely Blushing. I'm gonna mix Baby Love and then I Will Always Love You. It's like a peach and then like a more bronzy shade. My favorite blush brush is the MAC 129. I just like this because it's bigger and really like is the perfect size for my chubby cheeks. And I like to go pretty heavy-handed with my blush, and the reason being is that when I go over it with my highlight, it lightens it a little bit, but do whatever you feel comfortable with. So I just go in and I just like sweep it directly on. I don't like tap it on or anything like that. So I just sweep exactly above where I place that contour line and up towards my temples. Once again, I do like a lot of blush, so if this is looking too intense for you, then definitely go lighter handed. And then I just really lightly bring it in here. You never want to bring your blush in too close to your nose, especially once again if you do have redness, because it's just going to make your skin look red again when we've spent all of that time covering up the redness. So I just bring that in really lightly there. Once again, I just lightly go ahead and blend out the edges, just the top and then the inner part of the blush for this one, because I don't want to disrupt that contour. So finally, it is time for highlight. Now, I feel like highlighting is kind of the most daunting step in my opinion, because highlight is what has the potential to really draw attention to texture. So a couple of my favorite highlights are the Laura Mercier Highlight 01. I love this product. It's my go-to everyday highlight, and you get so much product for the amount, even though it is pricier. And then I also really love the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfectors. My favorite though is Moonstone. That's what Moonstone looks like there. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier highlight today though. So I'm just taking my new favorite highlighting brush. This is the Luxie Tapered Highlight, and picking up a little bit of product there. So basically you want to just apply that kind of right above where you place the blush, just on the high points of your cheeks here. So I just lightly start dusting that on, and I like curve it up around my brow as well, because that's where the light's going to hit. So I curve that upwards. One thing that you want to be really careful not to do is if you have large pores in this area, you want to avoid applying highlight there, because it's really going to draw attention to them. Honestly, a lot of the time I'm like, screw it, I don't really care, and I bring highlighter in here anyways because I just like the way it looks. But if you're really nervous about drawing attention there, definitely just keep the highlight kind of back on this area. I like to add a lot of glow as well, as you can probably see. I also just like to do down the bridge of my nose and on the tip, and then in my cupid's bow as well. Once again, I'm just blending that out really lightly this time. And then sometimes what I like to do is take my blush brush again and just kind of really, really lightly blend that kind of bottom line of the highlight so it's not too harsh. And then one thing that I really like to do is I like to take my Smashbox Primer Water and just set all of my makeup with this. This was obviously a lot of powder to put on your skin, so I like to set my makeup with this because it takes away that powdery finish and adds even more of a dewy glow without accentuating texture. So I just spritz that generously on, and then I just wait for it to dry. So that is it. I've obviously gone ahead and finished off the rest of my makeup now, but this is the final look. You're left with skin that is sculpted and glowy, and you can't even really tell that I have severe scarring or anything like that unless you're like super, super up close to my face. I really, really hope this video helps some of you guys out, whether you've just been afraid to try contouring or someone told you you shouldn't because it won't look good on your skin. Hopefully this showed you guys that you can totally highlight and contour even if you don't have perfect skin. But when it comes down to it, the most important thing to remember is to do whatever makes you feel comfortable and confident. If you don't like highlighting and contouring, you try it and it's just not for you, that's totally fine. You don't need to do all of this to be beautiful. This routine is really just for the people who are interested in trying out these kind of makeup techniques and this kind of look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you did. It seriously helps me out and it'll help this video reach more people. I really hope you guys can take something from it. And if you do try out any of my tips and techniques, take a selfie and tag me on it on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at SARI Rihanna on both, and Snapchat as well. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe down below while you are here, and I will talk to all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys! Yes, it is empties time, and as per usual, I have gone far too long in between filming these videos.